Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. Our piece today is inspired by a video produced by Keith Worswick, and I'll put a link to his video down in the description. I'm kind of excited for this. This is a piece of walnut that I found, and I've laid out a circle for the bowl, and I've knocked the corners off the edges. Done that in an attempt to avoid any tear out that I'll probably encounter as I turn this. This is, he calls it a square edge bowl, but it's really so much more than that. This is going to have 4 legs, and I'm not sure if you can see my pencil layout. This is just a guide for me. I may or may not go by this, but there's a line here and a line at each corner. And these pieces will extend down and become the legs for this piece. And on the underside, I'm going to bring the bowl, the bottom of the bowl, up inside of these legs all the way around. This is a rectangular piece. This is 8 5/8 by 9 5/8. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I've drilled a 5/16 hole for my 3/8 inch woodworm screw. I'll get this mounted up and we'll flatten it out and get started. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Now this piece is small enough that I don't think we're going to need any tailstock support. It'll pretty much just get in the way. So I'm just going to go ahead and rely on this woodworm screw, which I've never had a problem with. And I'll get my tool rest set up here and sharpen up some kind of bowl gouge. I'm not sure what I'm going to start with, and we'll get turning. A couple of things. First of all, I said I wasn't going to use tailstock support, but I am using it just for a moment. 2 reasons. One is it's the easiest way to put a center point in here so that when I turn this piece, when it's all done and I turn it around to remove the tenon, I'll have a starting point. And the other is I decided I better do these outside corners first. I just want to get them rounded. The sides and the ends are going to stay straight, but the corners are going to be rounded, and I thought I better knock those off, and I thought maybe tailstock support would be helpful there. So let me get my mask and face shield on and we'll get started. Be turning at 900 RPM. And the reason I decided to, I was going to flatten the bottom first, but the reason I decided I should take care of the corners, oh, see, there's that tear out I was worried about, is the reason I want to take care of the corners is because they're going to be like, I don't know, a 1/4 inch thick or whatever, however it turns out to be, and so there's going to be no support behind here, so I thought I should take care of that first. Okay, actually now that I think about it, that tear out won't matter because I'm going to end up rounding over this top edge anyway. I've gotten rid of most of it, there's just a little tiny corner right here. So now we'll move to the bottom, flatten that out, and start to shape our outside of the bowl. So I've got to come way up this way, which is going to take me just about outside of this, and I don't want to be, again, I have a hard time picturing things. I don't want to come clear out of here yet. I think at some point I do, but not yet. But I know I have to come a lot further. Yeah, I think I've got to take this away. I think we want to expose the sides of the bowl. Yep, absolutely. Well, I decided to try my 1/4 inch bowl gouge. That'll let me get in there a little tighter. See how far I get with that. I'm starting to get into my end openings here. And I do want to do that somewhat, but not as much as the sides. Well, I guess I'll just let it take care of itself. I probably need to start working back this way again. I've got way too broad of a flat area here. I've got to bring this bowl up out this way. So I guess I need to go deeper. That's the scary part with this. Trying to thin out those legs a little bit. That's just about where I want them. Just about, I don't know, just a 1/4 inch or a little over a 1/4 inch. I think what I'm going to do, I think Keith did this too. I think I'm going to come up here and round this edge over while I still have some support. So let me get repositioned for that. Okay, I've switched back to a 5/8 inch bowl gouge, round these corners over. Yeah, that's what I had in mind. So, back to what I'm avoiding here. Okay, I've switched over to a 5/8 inch swept back grind to get up in this corner. I need to bring this way up, I don't know, 1/4 inch thick up here or something like that. So I need to come up a good 1/2 inch. So I guess I'll approach it like this with the bevel on the inside of the leg. Just taking it easy, getting a feel for it. Never done this before. When you've got your bevel towards the inside, you got to be careful of the edge out here hitting the inside of the leg. It's a balancing act. I'm not sure how narrow that should be at the top. I guess it's up to me. Let's see if I made any progress here. Not much. I got a long ways to go. I can see this is going to be a little bit different than Keith. His bowl is visible from the outside on these short ends and not so visible, well, I guess that's the long end, and then not so visible on the short end. I think mine's going to be visible from both ends, if I can get it done. I'm just feeling my way here, just feeling my way, just learning. Somehow I have to make this point up here, and I still haven't gone anywhere. I still haven't got anywhere near as high as I need to go, but I still have to blend this bottom with this corner, and I've already maybe taken away too much right here, although I think I'm okay. I really think I'm okay, because I have to go up there so much further. I'm just taking my time doing that. Let me try a little smaller chisel. That was 5/8, we'll try 1/2 inch. Rub the bevel, and then start the cut. I'm just being careful because I hate to waste wood, you know? I just don't want to ruin this nice piece of walnut. I'm just trying to get rid of this little teeny weeny lip I have right here. It's just about gone. And then this will flatten out, come up here higher as I round the bowl. I really like this design. Thanks, Keith. Hope I do you well. I'm not looking forward to sanding up there, I can tell you that. Well, we're getting there. We're making progress. Hey now. Hey now. What do you know? That's pretty good. Okay. I'll end up in this corner again as I blend this bowl down. So we'll see what happens with that. But okay, I'm going to be using my 1/2 inch bowl gouge to blend the sides of this bowl together. I also have to make my tenon. About 1200 RPM. I want to see if I'm up high enough here to clear these feet. Yep, just barely. I'm going to go back to my 5/8 bowl gouge. Well, I decided I need to go back and finalize this tenon so that I can then blend the bowl the rest of the way. So that's what I'm going to do now. It's difficult to get in here because I can't. I know you shouldn't have long sleeves. I'm keeping them well away, but I can't quite get in here because I'm going to get hit, and it isn't because of the sleeves. So I'm going to use my point tool, this kind of point tool, and I need to get just a little bit higher here because I need a dovetail on this tenon. And now I have it. So now we'll go back to blending the shape of this. And I have long sleeves on because it's cold out here. It's just difficult to get a good angle with these things flying around, but I'll get it. I just about have it, I guess. Alright, that's pretty good. One last check, make sure I'm high enough to clear these legs, and I am easily. And then of course that tenon will come off later. So I guess, as much as I'd like to avoid it, it's time for sanding. I've been dreading the sanding, so I've been in the house drinking coffee and sitting on my computer for a bit. But I think I figured it out. I'm going to go with my old standby, the Sandal Fleck. I'm going to start on the outside and I'm going to sand in reverse. like that. And so when I turn this on, it's going to do a real nice job. So I'm confident in that. The inside still could present a problem, but I'm going to use my Sandoflex again. And I don't know if you can see this. I hope you can. It's just barely going to reach, but it is going to reach. I'm going to have to be real careful not to hit the metal part. I think what I'm going to do, they don't recommend it, but I think what I'm going to do is extend the sandpaper out beyond the brushes, about a half an inch beyond, and that will reach to the bottom. The reason they don't recommend it is because it's not supported by the brushes that way. But I've done it before and it works pretty well. It doesn't work quite as well, but it works pretty well. So that's what I'm going to use to do the inside. And once that's all done, then I'll just use my 2-inch sanding disc on my angle drill to do the outside of the bowl. So let me get my mask on and I'll give you a sample of that, and then I'll let you go away for a bit and I'll bring you back when it's all done. About 300 RPM. So that's how that's going to work, and I'll do that up through 180 on the outside, and then I'll go to work on the inside same way. I'll bring you back for that. Well, I thought I'd bring you back for a minute and show you what I discovered. I can actually use my 2-inch sanding disc on these outside legs. I'll show you that. By angling the disc upwards so that the legs only hit the lower half, I don't have any issues with it catching here and knocking this apart. So I'm real happy with that. That does a good job. I also wanted to say that typically when I sand, I like to sand around 300 RPM, have the lathe turning about 300 RPM. That gives the sandpaper a chance to do its work. But in this case, because all I'm doing is hitting 4 things as it comes around, I am turning a little faster. I'm about 410 RPM. And that keeps this from going in here in between, you know. Comes around a little faster and it just hits the high points, and that works really well. So I'll stay at it. That's just 80 grit, and I'm going to do that same thing through as many grits as I have, and then I'll hand sand in here once I'm past my 180 Sandoflex. I'll hand sand in here at 400. But it's coming right along. I'm pretty happy with it. It's not easy, it's not fun, but I think I'm going to have a pretty good product when I'm done. So I'll just keep at it. The sanding's done, and typically at this point I would put a finish on here before I turn it around. But in this case, because there's no definite edge up here, it kind of rounds over. I'm afraid any finish I put on might get over where I don't want it to be, where I haven't turned yet. Create a permanent stain, and when I put the finish on up there, it'll be darker. So I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to put the finish on both sides at the same time. So it's time to turn this around and hollow out the inside. That woodworm screw does an excellent job of holding. So I drew this circle on just as kind of a guide, just a layout, so I had an idea of what I was doing and how far to come up here and that sort of thing. I like this kind of thing to have a bead right in here just before it goes down into the bowl. I like a bead around there, a raised bead. I'm not sure I can do that safely on this one. The top is currently, well, it's almost a quarter. I thought it was closer to 3/16. Kind of in between 3/16 and a quarter. A bead would typically, for me, be about 1/8 of an inch high. If I come up here 1/8 of an inch, I'm gonna be leaving less than 1/8 of an inch of thickness along here. And I don't know if I like that idea. But what I would do is come in from the side and stop short of my bowl. Of course, like I said, this is just a guide. I can come in further. I can come out further, not much though. So we'll just see how it goes. I'm going to sharpen up my gouge, get my mask and face shield on, and we'll get to turning. Okay, we're going to be turning at 1100 RPM with tailstock support for a little while. And what to do about this bead that I want to put around here. I can come in without coming in all the way from the edge. I can come in and make a little divot here and just bring it up and leave the edge out here. Problem with that is it's such a short distance. Well, I still don't have to go by my... In fact, I think I'm going to get rid of that pencil line. I think it's bothering me now. That'll kind of free up my thinking a little. I don't know, maybe it doesn't need a bead. I tend to like them when they have them. Now let's see what I can do. I'm going to switch to a 1/2 inch bowl gouge here. Yeah, I think that'll work, and then I can just feather this out a little flatter. I could leave the groove, but I don't think that looks good. Yeah, I can kind of perfect that as I go. Maybe back to the 1/2 inch for a minute. Yeah, okay, that works. Back to hollowing. Maybe I should work on that bead while I still have something here holding it up. So we'll try the 3/8 inch spindle gouge. I'm not a master at this. I don't know how to create a bead in this orientation, so it kind of looks like I did it anyway. Yeah, I think that'll be alright. I'm going to get rid of this tailstock. It's in my road. Maybe I should round over these corners, huh? See if I got enough thickness there. I think I should. Kind of flat. Maybe rounder would be better. Yeah, that'll stand up okay. Well, let's see, our wall thickness here is about 3/16 of an inch. bottom is also 3/16 of an inch. I don't think we want to go much thinner. I'm going to scrape it. Okay, time for sanding. I decided to go with Howard's, I always want to say Howard's, it's Howard Feed and Wax as a finish for this. That's something I don't really know much about. I know a lot of people use it. I don't know if I have a lot of confidence in it, and so I don't usually use it unless it's a piece that I'm not in love with. Now I do kind of like this piece. I'm not real sure why I decided to go with it on this one. Maybe because, boy, I hate to say this, I love walnut. Who doesn't love walnut? But it's dark. And when it's dark like walnut is, like this is, it doesn't stand out, I guess. I'm not real sure what I'm trying to say here. It doesn't catch the light, maybe? I don't know. It's dark. On the other hand, it turns nice. It's beautiful grain. I mean, you can't argue that it's beautiful grain. And I'm not trying to argue that. It's just that it's dark. But, like I say, this is not a piece that I don't love. I do love this pretty much. But I guess maybe because I was reading the directions and reading the contents, and it's made up of beeswax and orange oil. And then back here it says beeswax, carnauba wax, and orange oil. And the wax part sounded good to me. I should be able to buff this up pretty well. I guess that's what I was thinking. So we'll have to see about that. Now, one problem I've encountered here is I said I was going to finish the bottom at the same time as the top, but because these legs stick down below, and because I'm right-handed, it's hard to get up in there. I can't get up behind this very well. So what I'm going to do, I have to turn this around anyway to take off the tenon. So I'm going to get it all set up to take off the tenon, and that's when I'm going to apply this finish. I will say right now, it looks pretty dang nice. I'm not ashamed of the piece at all. I'm not ashamed that it's walnut. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. That looks pretty nice. Looks a whole lot better now than it did a minute ago. So there it is. So I'm going to let that sit 20 minutes, wipe it off, buff it, then I'll bring you back in, we turn it around, get it set up to take off the tenon, do the other side, wait 20 minutes. Well, maybe I'll just bring you back when it's time to take off the tenon. You probably don't want to watch me go like this. Although I do it so well, don't you think? I think we're ready to turn this thing around. I did go ahead and apply the finish to the underside. It wasn't easy, but I got it done. And I got it wiped off, but it was, I can't say that I buffed it. I did buff this side, and it looks pretty good. That side has not been buffed. I figured I might try and buff it or just before I take off the tenon. And a piece of non-slip fabric over that, and then the bowl. Bring up my tool rest, bring up the tailstock. Kind of wiggle this around a little bit, make sure it feels like it's fitting right. And that's turning nicely. And we'll take a 3/8 inch bowl gouge to go after that. Oh, I was going to buff this first, wasn't I? I think I'll do it in reverse. It might be a little easier to get my fingers up under here. I can see through the rim, through the four legs, so I know where my fingers are. I don't don't know how much buffing it needs. Get the inside of these legs a little bit. Okay. It's about 450. And that tick tick you hear is just the non-slip cloth. I want to be sure I've got that center down below the feet. And I do, so that's a good thing. Now I need a longer swept back gouge to get in here and take care of this. So now what I'm going to do is just apply pressure sideways with the bevel of the gouge, pushing the bottom of the bowl towards the headstock. And I'm just going to set the gouge in place and just let it cut right through there. And I'll be doing that one-handed with my left hand on the switch. And I'm probably going to turn the speed down here to make sure it's controllable. And it doesn't get any easier than that. So then I'm just left with this area to sand up, and I'll do that over here on the workbench. Done. Signed on the bottom, you can barely read it. Black ink on dark brown wood. Maybe you can read that, maybe you can't. I think you can. One four-legged square edge bowl, more or less square. And Keith Worswick, thank you very much for your inspiration. I enjoyed turning this piece. I enjoyed watching your video, and I will link to it. This is very light. You know, I may not be given enough credit to that Howard feed and wax. This actually looks pretty good. It feels just smooth as can be. I might have to try that on some other pieces that I actually care about, such as this one. That's the long side. That's the narrow side. It was 8 5/8 by 9 5/8 when I started. 1 3/4 high. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, I'd appreciate if you would become one. If you are a subscriber, thank you very much. I really appreciate that as well. I try and put out regular videos, about one a week, and I plan on doing this for quite a little while, so go ahead and subscribe and we'll keep in touch. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.